for tuning in to our 5th WeWorld Summit Luminate 2022. Luminate is an event where successful entrepreneurs and global leaders share their insights, success tools and tips, and what nourishes their soul and well-being while being an entrepreneur and leader. They also share with us the positive, powerful impact they are creating in their communities and the world. Our theme for this year is Light the World with Conscious Entrepreneurs. I'm Elaine Chan from Malaysia, and I'm the director of the WeWorld Network Malaysia Circle, as well as the organizing committee for this WeWorld Summit 2022. Well, let me share with you a bit about WeWorld Network. WeWorld Network is a global, heart-based business community of joyful, abundance-minded entrepreneurs working collaboratively for the highest good of all. Our vision is to create world peace through business. We are excited to have Origin of Wisdom as our co-organizer this year. Origin of Wisdom works with organizations to achieve results by inspiring every person to self-mastery, to stand in their power, and to lead from integrity and compassion. Our keynote speaker, Juliette Louis, is an actor, model, talent development coach, and Miss Hong Kong 2017. With her triple threat experience, Juliette trains and develops new talents who wants to get into the mainstream commercial, modeling, or pageantry industry. In 2020, Juliette started No Bullshit Factory on Instagram, which is a page where she shares a mindset of being true to self on social media and in life. She's currently representing Hong Kong in Miss Face of Humanity 2021 and is hoping to use that platform to empower people to know their self-worth and embrace their true selves no matter what social expectations are. Well, now as a Malaysian, I watch a lot of Hong Kong movies and dramas. So I follow Hong Kong entertainment news quite closely. And I must say that the Miss Hong Kong pageant in 2017 was a very hot topic then. While competing and winning the pageant seemed so glamorous, on the other hand, the pressure, the expectation, the cyberbullying and attack, and so on and so forth. That time I was really wondering, how did you deal with all those brutal styles? And how could you stay sane amidst the controversies? So, Juliette, would you please share with us about your this also glamorous life? Over to you, Juliette.
Thank you so much, Elaine, for that lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Juliette, and welcome to my session. So a bit about me, and let me just get this probably curiosity out of the way, because a lot of people tend to ask me about my name and if I'm full Chinese. So yes, I can confirm I am not mixed. Both my parents are Chinese. Louis is just actually the Portuguese spelling of Lui, because my dad is from Macau and he's Chinese. And yeah, so as Elaine said, I'm an actor. I love making a living to pretend to be someone else. I'm also the founder of No Bullshit Factory, which is a social media page where I share content based on mindset work. I'm also a talent development coach, as she said, helping people get into the industry, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. And I'm also actually currently representing Hong Kong for Miss Face of Humanity 2021. So that's a bit about me. Sorry, actually the slides, that was my first slide. Totally forgot to show everyone, but anyway, that sums up who I am. Slide, please. And one more. Go to my story. There you go. Nice. So if the title wasn't obvious, today I'm actually just talking about my story. And because stories are powerful, they're real experiences by real people. And I'm sharing it with you in hopes that, maybe you guys can learn something or gain something from it. Plus, there's going to be a lot of juicy details about my journey to Miss Hong Kong. So stay tuned for that. So just to start from the very beginning, I'm born in Edmonton, I'm raised in Vancouver, and then I moved to Hong Kong by the age of 7, lived there for about 10 years, and then came back to Toronto. Slide, please. And then from Hong Kong, I came back to Toronto, graduated from U of T, played a lot of volleyball, and I decided that after uni that I wanted to go back to Hong Kong to chase my dream, because I've always known that I've always wanted to be a dancer. Growing up, it was very clear that this was my passion, but obviously things changed, and I'll circle back on this later. Slide, please. So I've always had to adapt. People who've moved a lot know what I mean. You know, when you're moving a lot, you have to adapt. You have to always change because your environment, the people around you, and change is always hard. So we have to always try to find a way of life that works for us. You know, when you're a kid, whether you're a teenager or an adult, you know, as an adult, it's like finding the perfect job. And because my environment kept changing, you know, I always had to adjust. And like, it's always about culture and friends and the weather and the lifestyle. It was always very challenging. And I overcame it with these two mottos. First, it was changing your perspective, which really is, for me, it's not wasting time. It really is to, you know, find the reason in why things happen, because these things in life, they happen for a reason. I'm a firm believer of that. And number two, it's, you know, keep having integrity to yourself, you know, committing to who you are, what you do, what you believe in, making sure that your actions, you know, are the same thing with your mind, that the values are aligned. And so that's pretty simple, but, you know, in today's modern society, it's actually quite hard because of all the social pressure. There's always money involved. There's always expectation. So anyway, with these two principles in mind, you know, let's get into, and slide. Who killed my dream? Can anyone in the audience or guess who killed my dream? And don't worry, there's a happy ending to it. And I know we are on chat right now, so maybe you guys can make your guesses on chat who you think killed my dream. Like my original dream being like, you know, dancer. Bingo, Preston. That's right. Ourselves. Yeah, it could be that too. But I feel like people killing their own dreams would just be like people like changing what their dream would be like. But pretty much, Preston, you got it on the nose. It was my parents. And why is that? Well, like all traditional Chinese parents, my parents are no different. They wanted me to get into academics, right? And so that's exactly what I did. I went to university and I went to U of T. I applied. So it was really quite sad when I knew I couldn't chase the life that I wanted. As a teenager, I actually found a lot of my own dance jobs. I performed in multiple city shows. I got myself into triple threat art school. And I knew that if I actually had the means to, I would probably make it to LA. But shit happens, and pardon my French, but at the time, honestly, I didn't know that the right amount of like shit or quote crap, for those who are religious, I do apologize, is that, you know, it can actually help you grow. It can stir you into different avenues. And so this is where I'm going to get at with everything happens for a reason. And you can change the slide just on time. Thank you, Zach. So how chaos changed my life for the better. Now, chaos is what I call when my parents told me, no dancing, you have to go to school, and a lot of other reasons, as well as, you know, taking, for example, a gap year. I was actually working as a waitress 7 days a week. I saved up to go to university. I was doing, in this waitressing job, it was like a lot of hard labor. I went from doing the dishes to cleaning to making all these fancy lattes. And by the time I was done, it was like I could not stand longer on my feet for more than 2 minutes because it was always in pain, standing all the time. And you guys get what that is if you guys ever been in that type of job, right? So on top of that, once I did get into uni, and this is still the chaotic time, is that I was never good at academics. I wasn't good at maths or science, you know, and personally, my dad was in China. My friends who know me from a long time always knew that I'm always like heartbroken because my dad, I always had to say goodbye to my dad. And he was kind of like the closest person that I had in my family at the time. So that kind of sucked. And that was my chaos. But where things shifted was where you guys see the X over there in the middle of it all, was that I had basically eventually accepted my path, because again, you just have to adapt, you know, moving every single time. But this time, I knew that no matter how much I hated my chaos, I had to move forward, because it's like, you know, you are going through all this grief and pain and sadness, but the only way you can get past it is to really, really move on. And that takes time. So, and everyone is different, right? But what I want to say here is that you just don't want to get stuck in a position or an emotion. Otherwise, you know, you're not moving forward. Life moves on no matter how much, you know, shit that comes your way. And obviously, guys, you can tell I'm quite an honest person. So sorry again for the French in advance. Anyway, so what happened was that I got really good at academics. I ended up fast tracking my program and graduated in 3 years. I actually also held 2 part-time jobs. I became VP of my student exec. I competed in volleyball. I had accomplished actually a lot of things by the time of my second year university, which was the moment where I was like, oh, so I see, because I became good at something that I thought I wasn't good at. This was like kind of giving myself like a different purpose. And without it, I really would have never learned to change my perspective. And this is basically lesson 1, is that, you know, after I changed this perspective, I really became happy and at peace at what I was doing at the time. I became Juliet 2.0, you know, and I was able to find other things that made me happy other than dancing, like volleyball. And shit happens, that's life. We just have to try to make our best out of any crappy scenario. So slide. Like I said, this is my first big life moment, life lesson, was that after so many years of adapting into so many different environments, I finally understood by changing perspective, it really gave me back the control of the chaos that was going around me. And it also gave me a reason for things to turn out the way it did. Like I said, everything happens for a reason. And I wish I knew that when I was younger, when my parents killed my dream, because maybe I wouldn't have been so hard on them or miserable. But je suis a teenager and a human. That's what happens. And also, lastly, before I move on, it also made time worthwhile, because again, I always really don't like wasting my time. That's like my biggest pet peeve. We have to kind of really believe that there's a purpose for everything, and we have to move on. So anyway, that was kind of like the main pregame to the main event right now, which is, and slide. I just have this like my automatic awesome tech team. Year 2017, Miss Hong Kong. Why most of us are here anyway, for the juicy details. So onto that time where my life got really even more chaotic, to be honest. And like Elaine said, she wants to know how I got through it. So here it is, how I became kind of like the most controversial winners of Miss Hong Kong. So here we go. Slide. So let's talk about some happy things first. You know, when I was crowned, I felt really happy, of course. I love coming first place. I'm very competitive. Growing up, I did a lot of sports. So you should know that I'm like, when it comes to like any games, has to find a solution, has to come first place. My dad was actually the one who nominated me to join. He said it would be really beneficial for me to do the training, you know, doing the makeup, learning how to be a lady. maybe not to swear so much. And of course, there would be a lot of opportunities that came with doing Miss Hong Kong. Plus, also, this is Hong Kong here. Like, this is where I grew up. I love my home country. And if you haven't been, you gotta go. And it's also a free trip for those who actually come top 12 or in the finalists. My year, it was top 12. So aside from obviously training, going to do Miss Hong Kong, there was also this chance of me finally going back on stage again, you know, because I love to perform, and it had been, I don't even remember how many years in between that I hadn't been on stage to perform. So it wasn't really hard to convince me to apply. Now, before I had joined the competition, my plans were actually to be an actor in Toronto. Prior to graduating, I was about to move back to Hong Kong to dance, but funny enough, I went to a TIFF party. I actually ended up meeting one of Toronto's top agents, and he was interested in signing me. I was also living downtown, and I was building my network here. Everything was just like how the young people say now, Gucci. And you know, I never dreamt of winning a pageant. If anyone who knows me for a long time, they know that I'm quite a tomboy, and I'm pretty cholo is what you say in Canto, which is like kind of like rude and like maybe not rude, but if anybody can give the direct translation, type it in the chat, because I'm not sure what would be a perfect word to translate cholo. Anyway, so before this pageantry, I never, you know, dyed my hair, did my brows, like got eyelash extensions, my nails even. Like, it was real, all this was like new territory to me. Anyway, so I applied, and after the audition, the first audition, they asked to see me in Hong Kong. And if I'm honest, I kind of actually went into this whole thing blind, meaning that they never gave us a copy of our contracts even after we signed it. And at the time, I didn't think about even staying a year because I didn't think about winning. It's kind of like you go into an audition, and once you're done the audition, you forget about it. You don't think too far ahead until you're in too deep. All right, now one of the main reasons why everything kind of took me by surprise during this journey was that I also haven't watched Miss Hong Kong for a long time, and I had no idea that the media and some people could be so savage and slide. Now, guys, this is my Monday motivation, okay? It took a lot of time digging up all these comments for you guys, and this was maybe like 5% of what I could find before I got really bored of looking at all these comments. But basically, never did I think that I was going to be called so many nasty things online, on newspapers, on magazines, and you can actually see, not here, but like on my first IG post ever, that there's a lot of hate comments. And my first IG post as Miss Hong Kong, sorry. And it was quite brutal. You know, first of all, I had never experienced such negativity because of something that I thought in my mind, I deserved to win. I thought maybe they crowned me because I was kind of like the most, you know, experienced on stage person, you know, being an actor, a singer, and a dancer, having that triple threat experience. So I'm thinking TVB crowned me because I had the most potential of becoming like a TVB star. Now, this is, again, never experienced so much negativity because of something that, you know, I should be celebrating. And number two was, throughout my life, I never been told that I had an ugly smile, okay? And this was like one of the biggest things. They kept making fun of my smile. And rather, my whole life, I've been told the freaking opposite of that, and slide. Because over here now in Canada, I am an actor and a model, and I make a pretty decent living smiling, doing what I do now. So you can imagine my conflict and my experience going through so much negative exposure for something that I cannot change, which are my looks and myself. And slide. Those are just some of the things that you might have seen me in. Anyway, the shitty side of the internet is I basically experienced it all, maybe except for, you know, the adult industry, but I'm not gonna get into that. Sorry, I'm just such a jokester sometimes when I'm nervous. All right, so I've experienced all the above, basically hate speech, cyberbullying, racism, you name it. I posted a photo of me and my friend Marlon, who's Black, and they were like leaving all sorts of racist comments. People were calling me a Filipino, which was weird because like, Filipino people are like one of the most beautiful people ever. They're always almost winning Miss Universe. So don't really get that. I even received a death wish. I mean, who does that? Like some people are really, really mad, right? The whole disappointing part about all this wasn't really, the fact that I had so much hate. It's just how much I thought, people how cruel the online world could be. I was just disappointed because Hong Kong to me, like I've always loved it. I've always said good things about it. And then all of a sudden I'm experiencing such a horrible thing. And like, how can my friends are like, you still like Hong Kong? And you're like, yeah, and next slide, please. Thank you. So anyway, my family affairs, my dating history, all that came out. And these are just like 3 photos. I couldn't be bothered more to search more. That famous Keanu Reeves photo where he's like sitting on the subway? That's my version of it. And then, they followed me with my friends and everything. They even like followed that my friend Anthony here. They followed him all the way to his residence. So I basically experienced the whole TMZ experience, being like a local celebrity. And I also had to keep apologizing to my friends and my family about it because, a lot of private stuff started coming up now. But surprisingly, to you guys, that this is actually the easier part of all that chaos that was happening to me while I was in Hong Kong that year. And why? Because it didn't really actually bother me that people said all this stuff about me because I was always really confident and I know what I want, I know what I did and why I did things. And slide. So why I didn't break down, first of all, I know myself well enough that everything that I did it with reason. The key is really not to let other people make you doubt your decisions. Another thing that I followed was that I really had self-respect and self-love for myself because I know that I accomplished all these things prior to Miss Hong Kong, and I should be proud of that. I should be, not ashamed of doing the things I do and everything that I have done. And having that strong mentality and that work ethic, to me, that always for me was a value, which is why I really ended up just focusing on my values, which was to really accomplish my own goals and not pleasing others on their view of how my success should look like, staying true to who I am and what matters to me. And lastly, I really didn't give a shit. I didn't pay attention to these things because I don't like wasting my time, and I don't like spending time on things that don't add value to me. So and that honestly, that ended up becoming my slogan on the newspaper. People always was like, she's the girl that keeps saying I don't care. But I kind of think that's a good thing because in this industry you actually can't care too much what people say, otherwise it's always going to drive you crazy, and people always have something to say about you. Plus it's their jobs to create some news, so people got to eat, so I get it. No harsh feelings. And really, I kind of have to shout out to Seeds for this. Sorry, this is the next slide. Thanks, Zach. I kind of have to give a big shout out to Seeds leadership for this second big thing, which was integrity, which everything that I just talked about boils down to. That is really committing and doing things that align to who you are. Like I said, never losing sight of your goals and your values, walk the walk. And so, yeah, without that, I don't think I would have been so confident in everything that I was doing. So shout out to Annie. and Rain, and Zach, and everyone in the team. Okay, so let's get to really the hard part. Ding. See, Zach, you already knew. Okay, so in the course of, a few hours the night that I won, I'd become a local celebrity. It was pretty much how I imagined my life would be, being famous and everything, always being followed by the paparazzi, always being on the gossip column, having bad press, being on the tabloids. You're basically not having a lot of privacy, which honestly, we were just missing like the sex and the drugs. But again, I'm not that type of celebrity. So a lot of things about me were all of a sudden, people's business, and my love life, my family's financial status, who I dated, what I did outside of Miss Hong Kong. The only thing that people weren't curious about was my experience with TVB. People just assumed it was just so amazing because I had won. Well, one of the things I kept thinking to myself was how a lot of people are really nowadays more concerned of how life looks rather than how life feels. So, because people thought I was really happy being Miss Hong Kong. Next. And so you can see here, there's my oh so glamorous life that I'm living. I kept getting dressed to go to these glamorous dinner parties, these charity events, these galas, and press conferences. And sure, they were really fun, especially when you're with the right people. But the reality was I was really going through so much more. And I'm about to get to it. Don't worry, it's coming. People might know a lot of the surface level difficulties, like for example, you're wearing the crown, they realize it's a heavy crown. So it's like, oh, I'm getting a headache. Or it's like, it's really cold because you're always in dresses. They kind of like chat about this like surface level things that you can do small talk with. But the thing is like, you're going through so much more. So whenever someone asks me, how is your experience or how is your experience as Miss Hong Kong, I'm actually always split between giving two type of answers. Because on one hand, you have all this glamorous side, like life of a celebrity. And it's fun, again, depending on the people that you're with. And then on the other hand, I was actually pretty miserable because I was really trapped under a contract that didn't pay base salary. And what you don't hear about all this in the press is what it actually takes to be Miss Hong Kong and what that actually means. So let's get into that next. Okay, so prior to the final show, I had asked for the contract a couple of times from the management company, but they kept saying like, don't worry about it. Just focus on the competition. They provided all the trainings and I didn't think much of it because, I'll focus on the competition. I want to do my best. And then in May 2017, that's basically when I signed the papers you actually have to sign these papers before you get seen in the audition. And they also take away your phones, but Q&A later. So in September 2017, the night that I won on the 4th, TVB actually, they provided all the trainings and accommodations. If you had to shoot off locations, they were, flying you there, busing you there, the gowns, the outfits, and kind of like the mediocre food. It was fine. I mean, I was really enjoying myself at the time because, like I said, I made some really good friends. And if you followed me on the press or the interview during that time, every single time without fail, I'll always focus on the friends that I had made during Miss Hong Kong, because really that's something that, I couldn't have met these girls and some of my lifelong best friends had I not experienced this whole chaos, quote unquote. And anyways, a couple of days after my crowning, finally you get to this meeting with Virginia Locke, who is the manager for TVB talent roster, I guess you can say. She's known to be very scary. You know, whenever you walked in the room, everybody's just like kind of bowing at her. She's got a reputation. People are kind of, they want to be on her good side because she's the one kind of giving the chances or maybe calling the shots, you can say. But to be honest, in my point of view, like the way someone would give you a chance is by, you know, your talent and your work ethic, you know, through your auditions, you know, to see if you really got the part, not by how nice people are to you, you know, like not by how many like, hello, Laksuze, you know, like, you know, greetings. Like they were really, she seemed like the type of person who loved that power dynamic and she really enjoyed it, which is probably why we got off on the wrong foot. Now, getting into this meeting, we were pretty head to head because I knew that her job was to have me sign the contract, which was about 8 years of your life. And that was exclusivity to be in Hong Kong. And then obviously over here, you have me going, I want to go to Hollywood. And that's like the first thing I said when I had won that night, when people asked me, you know, what's next? So her job was to basically have me sign and stay in Hong Kong while I'm in this meeting saying like, yeah, I won. Great. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave now. But that didn't happen the way I wanted it to. I actually ended up crying because she really had like scared me and she made me believe that I would never be able to pursue my dream outside of Hong Kong. She was like, you know, you want Miss Hong Kong? This is it. That you don't think that our talent roster had tried to make it in Hollywood. She said a lot of things. And I think, again, her goal was to sign me and she did a pretty, almost a really good job. I'd never signed it, but I did sign that one contract that basically gave them the option to renew it for 5 years. So it's, I've got 1 more year left, guys. Yeah, technically I'm still under them. Anyway. Q&A later. You're like, how you're here and you're doing your stuff. Anyway, so they also before I move on, they also had a person in the room with you typically to kind of like laugh at you and put pressure on you. Anytime I went to these TVB meetings, they had like 4 employees against, you know, me, and they took away your phone. They made sure to make you feel really small. So I didn't think that was right. I didn't agree with this company culture, and it already, you know, like we're off to a bad start here. Okay. And this was like a week after I had won. Anyway, after this meeting, you know, they had actually pulled me into another meeting, and all of a sudden they were like, you know what, we're going to send you to Miss World. And I was like, whoa, that's awesome. Because out of all this, like, first meeting that I thought was like it went horribly and I'm not gonna enjoy myself for the rest of the year, they all of a sudden told me to go represent Miss World, which I was like really happy about. It gave me another reason to, you know, kind of stay. And I also still have like the proof that they actually nominated me. I have a letter that says that. So anyway, all of a sudden I was like, okay, I will deal with this contract stuff later. And assuming that TVB will be facilitating my candidacy, right, for Miss World, paying for all the dresses, doing the same thing that they did for Miss Hong Kong. Now, in October 2017, I flew back to Canada to gather up my things, to move out of my downtown place. And now that I know that I'm staying in Hong Kong for about a year, so I packed 2 full suitcases and I went shopping for all the dresses, knowing that, you know, by the time I come back, I have to go do Miss World. Now, obviously, as I'm shopping, things got expensive and I started asking questions again, you know, like who's going to pay for what? Where do I sign this new contract as Miss Hong Kong? You'd think that, you know, once you're Miss Hong Kong, you get a new contract because it's like getting promoted to a job. You know, you have a different position, you sign a different contract. No, that's not how it works there. Anyway, so I asked for my contract again with all these questions and I got this reply. Zach? So I actually dug up this email for you guys. So the first, you know, paragraph, it kind of just says, well, TVB, we're like reputable, we're, you know, we care for our artist's career, we're the ones developing it. And then like after all that nonsense, what I really want to say bullshit is that at the end of it, they write, in view of this complication, as mentioned in your emails, which were my questions of all the, you know, financial stuff, we will revoke your nomination of you representing us for Miss World Beauty Pageant. No reason included, just we revoke your nomination. And this was a couple days before my flight to Hong Kong. So, Zach, what would you do? Can I get like a raise of hand of who would choose option A, which is like to be sad and like sobby, and then who would choose option B? If people can like type that, I would love to know their A and B, maybe even an option C, which is to be hysterical, you know. Anyway, thank you so much. Yes, it was B for me. And you know, a part of me thought that maybe I could fly back and there was a chance that this could be a bluff, right? But it wasn't. And I'll get to that. And this was honestly a rare opportunity for TVB to also nominate me because they don't always nominate Miss Hong Kong to go to Miss World. And I was like the perfect person. I mean, I'm pretty westernized. I can go compete with these girls, you know? Anyway, but what happened was that I flew back to Hong Kong, and that they decided to kind of ignore my messages, my request to meet. And a week flew by and I was really anxious. I had no answer at all. Slide. Thank you. Now, this whole time I was waiting at home for a TVB reply, you know, like I'm pretty impatient and anxious. I tell my friends, my closest friends, Emily, who was my best friend also at the time, still is one of my best friends. She actually is second runner-up of Miss Hong Kong, and she knew what was going on. And before I continue, you know, Emily's really awesome. I dedicated this whole slide to her. So, you know, you know, I still love you. Anyway, we hit it off because we're also very, she also is from LA. So I guess you can say we kind of grew up both like-minded, like more Western style. She was really fun. She's very girly. And she's also a lot of fun to make fun of. Love you, Em. So more so, why she's really important to the story is that she was my first like best girlfriend that I've had in a very long time, or ever, really. I had no idea Em would make it to top 5. We were always joking about that because she was very unnoticed during the competition. And even the night she won, they had called her name and she like stepped out. And she had no idea what was going on, that she actually came third, that she walked back to position. Once you win top 3, you're supposed to stay in position. And, you know, you guys can watch the replay, but her face was like completely like, I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, just needed to give that moment there because it's worth telling people. Anyway, so you guys can guess where this is going. Maybe that one night I get a text and a call from Emily, and she asks me to call her when I can. And, you know, I'm assuming that TVB is actually, you know, giving her trouble because now I'm thinking she was also at the passport office and she needed to get a Hong Kong passport. So did I. And I originally needed to get a Hong Kong passport because for Miss World, you actually have to have a passport that's from your country. I have a residency card, which is why I could compete for Miss Hong Kong. And she went there because they had told her they needed to fix something with the bank. Anyway, can you guys guess what this call was about? I feel like you guys would know, and some of you guys know. Anyway, yes, exactly. She basically was going to take over, and she had told me that she's going to accept to do Miss World. Now, when she told me that, it obviously threw me off guard because not only was I sure like, okay, they weren't going to nominate me anymore. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. But I had no idea that they were going to nominate my best friend. It was like adding salt to the wound. You know what I mean? Needless to say, it was a really rough, night. When she told me that, I was like, well, why did you fight for me? It was dramatic. Okay. Anyway, the next morning I was like really, really fed up, and I texted TVB this. And believe me when I say, I tried to go back on my WhatsApp archives to show it to you guys, but I texted them saying like, guys, I've been along the lines of, guys, I've been really quiet and really like respectful. At this point, I really need to meet you. Kind of like an underlying threat, like, hey, I could tell people what's going on. And I had the proof. And not to my surprise, they finally responded. TVB finally responded and were like, okay, we'll give you your meeting. So I went to this meeting. And I kind of knew already that my chances got slimmer and slimmer as the days gone by, that I wasn't going to go to Miss World because, like I said, Emily had accepted taking the job. And as I expected, it was a pretty useless meeting because I went in basically only for now to ask them like, hey, what's the contract terms and conditions? Like, let's resolve this too. But all they could confirm was that I was not going to get an allowance. I had no monthly salary. I had no guarantee of jobs, and I had no housing support. So I'm like, this Fiona just kept basically during the meeting kept reassuring me, don't worry, we're gonna find jobs for you. And like these jobs, they paid you flat rate, but some of them were actually pro bono, and that's how you're going to make money. But it was a bunch of empty promises. As those who were, following my journey, they would know that I didn't actually have a lot of jobs that year, which let me put to perspective. I could be a waitress in Canada and make more money. Let's just leave it at that. All right. That was my year's salary. And that's at minimum wage without keeping your tips. And one more thing I need to mention, that during this meeting, they kept flipping it back on me and saying like, but you're living with family, right? Your parents and your family are supporting you, and that made no sense to me, because why would I, as a 23-year-old, be asking my family for support when in the past I've already, I've held my own. I've never asked for money. I've always like paid for my own bills. So what kind of reality was I living? Sure, I had actually won some prize money, but just to put that also into perspective, if your rent was 2,500 in Hong Kong, which probably got you a parking space, knowing Hong Kong, if those who know that Hong Kong real estate is ridiculous, that would only last me about 2 months. And then, for the rest of the year, I would be in debt and homeless. And this Hong Kong, that's homeless. But no, luckily my grandma and my uncle, they took me in, and I just stayed with them, and I just waited every day for a job to come through my WhatsApp text. It was really slow. Some of the months I only had like one job or even two maybe, and I was like, what kind of bullshit did I get myself into? Now you see the missing description for, the 3 months of October, November, December. That was what was missing. I had been really depressed and lost because I felt really stuck. I felt like I had nowhere to go. I was stuck in this contract. And, I didn't really have much options, thinking now I'm trying to change my perspective, but there wasn't a lot of options. Like I said, I could either leave and people would say, oh, she doesn't have any integrity of being Miss Hong Kong. Miss Hong Kong means nothing to her. I could, again, with all that cyberbullying already happening, if I had left, it would have probably been worse. And that's definitely a reputation I don't want to have. Or I should stay. And if I stayed, what are my options? You weren't allowed to get another job. You just had to kind of stay home and wait. And so that's kind of like why those 3 months, it was harder for me to change my perspective. And part of me was like, I gotta figure it out. But it was really hard. And every night I kind of, I just kept filling up my time with kind of useless stuff. And I'm gonna get to it. Now I'm living with my grandma, my uncle, and his wife, and my cousin, who's like 5 years old. We had one toilet. Okay. Can you imagine, like, that's like 5 adults in using one toilet. Like every night when my cousin would be sitting in the toilet and just pretending like I'm pooping, but they're not. Yeah, like every night it was a battle. And so, I also had to like climb over my grandma every night because we actually shared a bed for a whole year. Again, you guys knowing Hong Kong and Asia, there's not a lot of room. Everything is upwards. So I shared a bed with my grandma for a whole year, guys. And like, I had to sleep like a log because otherwise I would crush my grandma. Now, it was hard these 3 months trying to adjust into this new environment. Now I've moved so much, like this is now my experience. Anyway, next slide. Sick of seeing Emily's face. I'm kidding. We love Em. Actually, I think I might have. Yes. So this was, I forgot to actually say timeline earlier. So anyway, so yeah, like I said, October, November, December, it was kind of like nada, nothing. Now skip one more slide. Thank you. To the party photos. Okay. So these 3 months, I really wasn't doing much. I mean, like I really did enjoy my time with all my friends and whatnot, but what was I gonna do partying like 7 days a week? No, that didn't happen. I tried to fill my time, doing my nails, doing my hair, and just like finding a reason to get out of bed. But it was really hard. I felt really helpless that I couldn't leave. I think that I would make things worse, like I said, if I did leave. And like I said, the other part of me wanted justice because I couldn't figure out how to like why I need to stay. Like I need to give myself a reason to stay. So I wanted to change company culture. I wanted to change people's mindset on how they thought fitness was. Because a lot of girls actually that year, I'd watch them change. Their insecurities got more and more because of what people said about them, online. People bought followers. They really, some of the girls over promoted themselves. And I get it. This is showbiz and you kind of have to do that at the start. But now it's a popularity game and you can't really succeed in this industry if you're just liked and you don't have talent. You really got to work on your craft as well. People can kind of spot a fake, at least in the Western side, this is how the industry works. Now, I couldn't figure out how to execute those ideas. So I had trust issues as well. It took me a while to realize this, but I was like, okay, I need to stop wasting my freaking time, which is essentially what I did. Slide, please. I decided to look a little bit more beyond because, again, you're in all the chaos. You can only see the chaos, but what you have to do is you got to really step back and really see the bigger picture. I had reminded myself that actually on the night I wanted to go to Hollywood. So you know what? I decided to make 2018 my preparation year, to lay all the groundwork to be an actor so that when my reign is done, I could come back to Canada and be that action actor star that I've always wanted to be. So what I did was I trained, I got ready I took my first Wing Chun class in January 2018. I met some new friends who were all fitness trainers now. So like I'm doing my dancing at the gym. And I started building my own website, which I knew that I needed because every actor kind of needs one. I also worked on my branding with my dad, who really pushed for it because I knew that someday I would need my own brand. And I was right. No Bullshit Factory kind of came, and the talent development coaching business as well. Anyway, so I spent that year also kind of like making it a preparation year to appreciate more time with my grandma as well. My dad and my mom, who was also living in Asia. I visited a bunch of relatives in Macau and China and kind of just enjoyed it while I can, because I knew that after this year, I was going to freaking hustle and I'm going to prove everyone wrong that I could do it. And, I'm here now. So this is kind of how I finally overcame everything. And yeah, next, please. Now, while I couldn't change industry standards or practice or like people's negative mentality, what I could do that was in my power and my control was that I could be an example. I could be a leader. And this was going to be my way of leaving a mark as being one of the most controversial winner of Miss Hong Kong. Loud and proud, be my own damn self, unapologetically and proudly. I did this in hopes that I hope that more young girls or people who want to get into the industry know what they're getting into, and also to remember to really be true to themselves and have that integrity, because that's giving yourself that self-respect and that self-confidence. That's going to really help you, get through this industry where there's like a lot of rejection and a lot of people saying things about you. So as entrepreneurs and as leaders, our goal is to always leave a mark, right? Whether it's in your product, your service, our control is to really is our branding and what we value in our branding. So by doing that, we're inspiring, we're sharing, and hopefully increasing the quality of life of other people and humanity and people. So as Miss Hong Kong 2017, I wanted to make my year count by doing what's best for me. And this was my way of leaving a mark. Zach? Anyway, so life now, that's exactly what I'm doing. I said that I would come back to Toronto, get signed and start acting. And that's what I did. I got signed with multiple agencies in Canada. I'm working between Montreal and Toronto. I started this coaching business because I did see this opportunity to kind of close the ambiguity and the scams of the industry, the truth of the industry, and really coach people through it so that they don't, like I said, get scammed, and also they know exactly what they're getting into. I've also been able to use my website that I built while I was in Hong Kong as my portfolio. And then also in March 2021, with the help and my push from my very incredibly supportive partner, Matthew, giving you a shout out. I opened my IG page for my coaching kind of brand called No Bullshit Factory, and it's all about a mindset. It's really cool, so check it out. I wanted to honestly create a place online where I could just be the real me, a place where people with internet can access, and where I could just share the mindset that got me through all my chaos in being in this industry. And in today's world, honestly, I know now more than ever that this was my purpose. We need the no bullshit factory mindset. Because of all the social media pressure of our generation. And funny enough, this is actually my campaign for Miss Face of Humanity. Zach? Thank you. So to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, this what gave Miss Hong Kong 2017 even more of a meaning. It's the whole backstory to what I do now, who I am, my brand, and coming back to Toronto. I really am happy with that decision because I could chase my dream the way I want. I had control. I have now control of my surroundings, when and with who and where. I'm just a lot happier now, and I think a lot of people can kind of tell that. But yeah, feel free to continue following my journey. This is how you guys can vote for me for Miss Face of Humanity. And yes, it costs, but this year, don't worry, all the proceeds are going to Give Her Five, which is a nonprofit organization. And that's enough self-promoting for now. Zach, please. I'm just going to leave you with this, guys, and this final note. Success, guys, is defined by you, okay? Remember that you really need to stay true to yourself, because you cannot chase happiness in other people's reward, like crown or what people say or what people tell you. Success is what you make it to be, and not by other people's point of view. And as you guys know, success and happiness, they're not the same. So do something that makes you happy, find out what works for you, what makes you feel good and not just look good. Be your own kind of beauty, guys, and leave your mark on this world. Thank you, everyone. And these are my socials. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. For your sharing. Wow, it's so captivating. What a life experience you had. And it is truly inspiring how you were able to turn it around and continue to live a happy, successful, and fulfilled life. You emerge as a true winner in life. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm just curious. I saw you mentioned about Wing Chun, right?
Yeah.
Did you like do it for fun or for a reason?
Well, Wing Chun is a martial art, and I've always, like I said, I kind of the type of actor I want to be like an action hero, kind of like Jackie Chan or Michelle Yao. Love them. And it's just like growing up watching all these cool kung fu moves. I know like a lot of them are based from Wing Chun, actually. And so that's kind of like the hot new like martial art where a lot of actually people are trying to get into. Boxing's really good too, but you know, Wing Chun is it comes with the Chinese background, so I decided to pick that too. And yeah, I mean, feel free to test out these skills. I miss sparring with someone for sure.
Yeah, nice. And you can kick some asses too. And if in the future they were to dump shit on you again.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna Wing Chun it out of the way.
Yeah. All right. And well, looks like the audience too. They have quite a few questions for you, right? Um,
Yes, I'm trying to catch up and listen at the same time.
yeah. Wait. Let me scroll back and see. From yeah, from Fairy Pete, she was asking. I wonder if you feel the difference comparing Asia and Canada, how you are being treated. And my perception is that the West can be brutal too. What do you think? Like in Hollywood, there's so much rumors.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, as a talent, I like to say talent because talent can mean so many things, not just modeling and acting, and you know, it's so many talent, right? So as a talent, I want to say in Hong Kong, it's different because over there it really is managed by one company, and you really do have to. It's like a company going. You have to move your way up that company versus here in North America, you got a fair shot like everyone else. I mean, with some luck, of course. There's always luck involved, but you actually have to audition for the role. You know, over there they kind of pick and choose on who's popular, who looks the part and whatnot. Over here, it's more of a fair system, I want to say. You know, you really got to show your work and show your talent. That's the main difference in terms of how you get treated in terms of, you know, like paparazzi and stuff. Yeah, like I said, like in Hong Kong it's a little bit more savage because I feel like Cantonese people, like when they're online they don't have a filter. And then I mean it's the same with everywhere, to be honest, with the internet, but in over in North America, I tend to find that people fact check a little bit more. You know, they don't just believe everything on the internet because they know that, you know, this is just celebrity gossip and whatnot. Versus in Hong Kong, it's very rare that they're going to really do a cover story on you where you're being real instead of just taking something juicy and spinning it around so that they can make more money out of it. I mean, that's at least my experience. I hope that changes. So I hope that kind of answers the question.
All right. Thank
That's
you for taking that question. And Charlotte is asking, how do you endure the whole contract? Like you were saying, it's 5 years, right? And you have one more year to go. So how you gonna do that? Like going through that?
Well, you know, I believe I've made it very clear, and even if they are listening today, I've burnt bridges with them. So even if they came to try to like, ask for money, because technically I'm not allowed to work as an actor if I'm not representing them anymore. But what are you gonna do? And you kind of screwed me over there. So I'm just gonna find my freedom and do that. And I'm not afraid to say it, because I know that all the work that I have here, I did that myself. I didn't do that through TVB. I didn't get those jobs because I was Miss Hong Kong. It doesn't really matter here what kind of title you had. Like I said, you audition, it's a fair shot. You have to actually show your talent, So what I do is whenever they send me a WhatsApp text to remind me that they're renewing a year, I just archive it. And that's really what happens. You can ask any of my friends.
Wow. Wow. All right. And just out of curiosity, are you okay with Hong Kong now? Since you are representing them for the Miss Face of Humanity, is it going to be a different organizing party? Charlotte is asking that.
Sure. So Miss Face of Humanity is managed by another organization, and they're under OKG Group. It's not a typical beauty pageant. It really is about who you are and your campaign, your initiative. So mine being No Bullshit Factory. And it's different because it's not going to be a problem because I'm representing Hong Kong. I'm not representing TVB, right? I'm representing my beautiful country, where I'm from, what I stand for, and how the country is basically everything that I've been through over there, how that's made me being able to, represent my beautiful city. So it has nothing to do with TVB. And now I'm kind of representing myself as well as the country. And I hope I can make everyone proud. So vote for me. The show is on April 2nd.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And we are rooting for you, Juliet.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And maybe, let me see, maybe there's two more questions here. Shall we take them? From Patricia, she asking, what advice you can give to teenage girls that are obsessed of having a perfect appearance?
My advice is, if it doesn't make you feel good, don't do it, because you're gonna never find happiness in doing that. Again, you're obsessed with, are you doing this? You have to ask the right questions, and you got to have a good intention. Like, are you trying to look good for yourself? If it's a yes, then yes, like this is what makes you feel happy, because it's for yourself, right? But if it's for someone else and you're just trying to look perfect because you think that's how the world sees perfect or beautiful, well, let me tell you, girl, everybody has their own way of being beautiful. And again, you're never going to find happiness in getting someone's approval, because you're always going to need that approval or that reward to make you feel good. So that would be my advice. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And I think, like you say, everyone has their own kind of beauty. So embrace your own kind of beauty, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Zach, for posting the link. You're awesome. That's the voting link, guys.
Oh, yes. Okay, let me see. Do we have any more questions? What would you be your advice for kids who dreams to be in this industry?
I would say just remember why you want to chase this dream, right? You want to do it because of the acting, the passion of being, on a stage, the passion of performing, singing, acting, whatever it is, dancing. Don't do it for the fame. Don't do it for the money. Don't do it for because someone else tells you to. You really, again, like I said, it always comes down to your own happiness. It's I would say try it again, do give it your best at whatever you do, and things change. Dreams always change. You know, once you're in it, you might realize that this industry is not the lifestyle for you. It is a very difficult and different lifestyle. It's very unpredictable where you can end up. But again, it's also really fun and really awesome, which is why I'm in it. But just remember why you're doing it. And, you know, again, it's like it comes down to intentions. As long as you're passionate about something and that makes you happy, then hell yeah, go for it.
Wow. Yes, follow your passions. Yeah, that's the advice. Yeah. And one final question from the audience. Who is your
Okay.
current hero, role model, and inspiration?
Um, wow, that's a tough one because there's so many people. Are we talking about celebrity or are we talking about person in my life? I'm gonna have to actually shout out with my partner for Matthew. If we're talking personal because I've never been with someone or been surrounded by like a ball of support. Like, I mean, my friends are very supportive. Like, shout out to all my friends that are always with me and like, Juliet, you're such an inspiration and stuff. But like I want to say Matthew is like on another level. And the reason why I know this is because I can get pretty mean when it comes down to auditions and like I'm like super strict in my work that I could be like, you know, how do you say, just not nice. But not nice like on purpose, you know, like I mean like I'm just really really strict and harsh on myself. Like I could be really hard on myself, you know, when it comes to audition. And he will continue to support me no matter how many times I'm kicking and screaming and going through all my ugly phases for the audition. So I want to say right now he is my biggest inspiration because he continues to support me unconditionally, and yeah, and that's really hard to find in a person. So, shout out, babe.
Thank you for sharing that. Big shout out to Matthew. And yeah, it's really important for us to have a good support structure around us to, you know, maneuver through life challenges. We are happy for you that you have so much support there.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and as I listen, you know, your whole sharing, you know, I really get that, you know, out there in the world, people are really cruel, and the world can be really mean, and you know, they will jab at you, you know, whenever they have a chance. It really reflect like so much that actually people are hurting. Like there's so much hurt in the world, and
Mhm.
the world really need healing, and we really need people like you know, to stand there and continue to live your life, to be true, stay true to yourself, and show them, you know, shine forth the light and show them what is it like to live in integrity, you know, to love yourself, to have respect for yourself, and you know, success is all defined by you. So thank you so much. We gain so much from what you share. And, you know, like two more big tips. I just want to wrap this up, right? The principles that you share is when you are thrown into chaos, change your perspective to make it work for you and make your time worthwhile. Yep. And the second point is like having integrity to yourself. This too is one of the most important piece that I too pick up from Sid's leadership. Having,
Yay.
yeah, is to have alignment in your commitment and never lose sight of who you are or what you believe in. Know yourself, have self-respect, self-love, focus on your values, and don't give power to others' opinion. So all in all, stay true to yourself. Happiness can only come from within and not without. Yep. And success is defined by who? By
By
you.
you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Same with beauty, same with happiness.
Yeah, thank you. And to our lovely audience, I have good news for you. Miss Juliet here generously offer a 20-minute session per person who is interested in working in the commercial, modeling, TV or film industry. All right. The only condition required is that you must have registered for Luminate 2022 and attend at least one of the sessions, not necessarily these sessions or any sessions, right? So please do email us at submit@weworldnetwork.com, submit@weworldnetwork.com, and we will forward your request to Miss Juliet. All right. And for those of you who would like to connect further with Juliet, please do visit our website at weworldsummit.com. You'll be able to read up more about Juliet and her work, and also find all the links there. Right, and her website, let me just repeat, www.julietlouis.com. Right, and do join our Facebook group, WeWorld Network, for further interaction. Post on our Facebook page to share what you have learned, or post on our Instagram, or tweet us at WeWorld Network. Yep. And to sign up to receive 10 free videos from previous summit at our website, weworldnetwork.com. Right. Coming up next, tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, or 9 p.m. Malaysia time, you will hear from another beauty pageant, Miss Earth Malaysia 2021, Dr. Nisha Tayanandan. Dr. Nisha is a surgical medical officer by profession and has been awarded the Most Inspirational Doctor National Award 2021. She has great concern over how plastic waste is hurting and the environment and us human. Plus, she has invented biodegradable menstrual pad, namely EcoPad, to curb plastic pollution. So she will be inspiring women entrepreneurs to solve global challenges through product innovation. So don't miss that. Come and join us. And also please share this with your friends and family about this event. Even if they miss the live session of the Luminate, they will have access to the recordings until the end of May 2022. Yep. And once again, thank you, Juliet, for a very, very inspiring session. And do you have anything to say before we end?
Thank you for everyone who tuned in. I know it might have felt very long, but and maybe some of your questions haven't been asked, but like I said, like Elaine said, submit your questions to the WeWorld on the WeWorld website, and you guys can always stay connected with where I take my my part 2 of my journey post Miss Hong Kong life on my social media, and I'll just type that in the group chat, but y'all know what it is. It's just my name.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are so very honored to have you with us today and share so much with us. And also on behalf of our founder, Dr. Rain, and the organizing committee, we wish you all the best in the Miss Face of Humanity 2021 contest. And may you stand out among the contestants. And as you stay true to yourself and stand up for humanity, inspiring the world towards peace and unity.
Love it. Thank you so much, Elaine. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And WeWorld Network is creating world peace through business. One individual at a time, conscious individuals, conscious communities, conscious world. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Good night.